Hello and welcome to the agenda. I am Ajay Kaul. In this program today we will discuss about the spread of COVID in rural areas. While we know to a large extent what havoc coronavirus is causing in cities and towns, there is hardly anything we know about how the pandemic is playing out in rural areas. How are the villages coping up with this deadly pandemic, considering the prevalence of ignorance, illiteracy, and lack of proper healthcare infrastructure even during the normal times? We will try to get an understanding of this critical subject in this edition of the agenda. We have with us Dr. Punita Hasija of Indian Medical Association, Dr. Anita Ramesh, a senior doctor at Apollo Hospital, and Professor Aman Agarwal, director of Indian Institute of Finance. But before we start our conversation, have a look at this small report.
As coronavirus continues to wreak havoc, there are concerns regarding the fate of a large chunk of India's population which resides in villages and other far-off places. While in cities and towns people are able to amplify their COVID-related issues and sometimes get remedy also, there is a huge population in rural areas which is illiterate, ignorant about health issues and faced with acute absence of healthcare infrastructure. These are the areas where even in normal times a maximum of one small primary health center with ramshackle medical facilities exists in a village. There may be a doctor posted to such a healthcare unit, but he or she is not available there many a times. Such a healthcare center has to cater to thousands of people. With the pandemic spreading all over, one can only imagine how people in these areas would be coping up given such a distressful situation. It is anybody's guess whether most of the people would even be aware if they are struck by COVID, whether there is a provision for COVID test, and whether the people can get access to vaccination. Amid the serious concerns, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said testing facilities should be made available through government and non-government routes. He also said that illustrations be used to make aware the rural population about precautions to be taken and isolation methods in case they contract the COVID. There's a need to act fast, otherwise the situation may just explode. Bureau Report.
Now let's welcome our guests, Dr. Punita Hasija, Dr. Anita Ramesh, and Professor Agarwal. Welcome to the program, all of you. So I'll first go to Dr. Hasija, Punita Hasija, about this. As I just mentioned about, we know some details about what's happening in cities and towns, about the havoc that has been played out. But we don't have much idea about the rural areas because, there is illiteracy, ignorance, people may be dying or may be affected, but they won't even know that they have been afflicted by coronavirus. So what is your view on this situation?
As we all know that our villages, they are having so much myths and about this COVID. And I also know because one of my mates she came to my house and two of his relatives died. And I asked what happened to them. They said they died of typhoid. Because there are so many Chola Chap doctors there, they just, whenever there is fever is there, they just get the test for typhoid done. They themselves don't know about COVID anything. So I told her just get themselves tested for COVID, but they did not get it done, and two more lives were lost in their village. So it's a total ignorance and myths are there. They think that COVID will not happen to them because we stay in very open area, we are not crowded. But they don't understand that it is a viral infection, and the virus is in the air itself, and people are going to towns for jobs and all, and they're coming back and they're meeting their family members and they're giving corona to them. So we need to have a awareness campaign at village level, and I think we should meet the panchayat people and they should convey the information down to each and every people in the village so that they know that the corona is dangerous. it is spreading like anything, and they should maintain social distancing. They should wear masks. I've seen so many villages people, they don't wear masks. They just wear a small gamcha, and that too, when they are talking, they just remove that gamcha. So they have to be made aware that this is a disease is spreading from secretions from the mouth while sneezing, while talking, and there is a lot of awareness in this. So I request all the members sitting here, so they should make a committee
But-
for that.
Yeah, IMA has a network. So are you utilizing that network for creating awareness? Because I don't think people never know it.
We have made a few videos regarding this, what is to be done, and we are sharing this with our district administration, and they have shared those videos on the social platform also to each and every news channel, and even the small portal web also. And plus, whenever we get chance, we make our status on the our ID, because, and whenever I talk to a person, I ask the fellow to please convey this message to 10 more people, 10 more relatives of them, that COVID is spreading through air, and they should make sure that they should wear masks, they should maintain social distancing, and they should sanitize their hands regularly. But I think many more awareness campaigns like this need to be done, and I think a committee should be formed at each and every platform of village, from panchayat to the social security person in their chowkidar. Every should be made aware of this, and they should tell people not to hold many gatherings. Like we were seeing in the news also, so many social festivals were celebrated in spite of this COVID, and the sarpanch was arrested for that. I think if the main literate person is not knowing about this, how can we expect something from this village people who have not access to the television or any web portal or any of the media?
Right. So I'll go to Dr. Anita Ramesh about as you heard Dr. Punita talking about what are the concerns about rural areas. So what is your view? I mean, people are unaware, people don't care, people may not even know. So what is your view? What is your suggestion about handling the situation?
Yes, rightly a doctor from IMA already told about it. So that's a very bad situation now what's happening in India. And after the Lancet publication, which says that the droplet that's the airborne disease. So it is spreading like wildfire in all the areas of village or rural India, and it's quite devastating. Couple of things: a portion of the society stays in rural India. Next is many of them may not have the literacy. Financial backward thing is also there. Access to healthcare is there. Access to vaccination is there. Access to so many other vital necessities of life is there. And so that's why it is spreading. Many of them have hesitancy. Many of them have social and cultural things of not revealing. Many of them don't want to do the test because it become a stigma. Many of them, even if they are positive, try not to take treatment and will try natural methods to heal themselves. They will not go to the hospital. Hospital is very far away. Financial issues are there. Transportation issues are there. Okay, and this all clubs into a vicious cycle, and that's where we are stuck in rural India, and it's a major hurdle in front of the both central government and state government. What I personally feel, it should be decentralized. The state government has to start working with their own panchayats and the primary health centers, secondary health centers, gram panchayat, Anganwadi workers, all has to be put into it. Bring awareness, keep spreading thing that you need to wear a mask, and also give them thermometers, give them a pulse oximeter. If one person is educated in the family, they can teach. Or the Anganwadi worker and the healthcare worker goes from house to house talking about COVID, giving pictures, pamphlet. I know they can't read, but pictures you can give. You can give that Kabasura Kudina. You can check their temperature. You can register them in the COVID app and see. So it is door to door. You cannot expect them to come to the health center, but you have to reach out at every bit. Even if somebody has not got the vaccine, please bring them to the nearest vaccine. They cannot use their mobiles. You have to register them. So healthcare workers particularly has to be out, and we need to deploy many of these social workers who will do the ground level work and spread from village to village, rural area to tribal area, keep talking to them, showing them pictures, video recordings, and make it very visual and show what is happening into the city. They may not be knowing that there's no oxygen. They may not be knowing bed is not there.
They may not even know that they need oxygen.
They need oxygen, yes.
They won't know.
This is happy
Yeah.
This is happy
So-
hypoxia.
Yeah.
Happy hypoxia. I had a patient came into my OPD, cancer patient on treatment. How are you? Okay. He said, okay, very good, doctor. When is my next chemo? Then I told sister to check the vitals, pulse, BP. He saw the saturation, it is 80.
Yeah.
He is saying, I'm fine.
Yeah.
That's it. That's happy hypoxia, correct? They will not know they will need oxygen.
That is, you are talking about urban area. I'm talking about rural areas where
Rural areas, yeah.
the awareness level
so
is
all
very
the more
low.
they will not know.
Yeah.
All the more they will not know
Yes.
what is what. So that's how the situation rises. And so we all have to be in our gears, not only citizens, healthcare, media, lot of TV programs. We want local languages which will reach to everybody. I think minimum TV is there in some houses, if not they all gather together. Again, gathering should be avoided. All social get-togethers, orientation, help them with kits, give them some multivitamins at home, give them the sanitizer, government should give them masks, should give them the oximeter at least to check their pulse. That's what I have to feel.
Yeah.
Door delivery, door-to-door service.
Right. So it again brings us to the neglect. I mean, we have always neglected this healthcare sector. So that is why we have Professor Agarwal. So I come to you, Professor Agarwal, sir. Now this is an kind of possibly an explosive situation, since we have been neglecting this healthcare for decades. Now it could be a very dangerous situation. What do you say?
No, you see, I agree with my co-panelists, but I would like to put forward this point that the world of India, as against 10 years back to what it is today, is quite different. The rural India is very well educated primarily because of some of the social media platforms which have come up, and inclusion of the television networks reaching through mobiles and other applications to them as well. So it is wrong to put forward what rural India used to be way back in 1990s or 2000 beginning also, that we are seeing the rural India today. In fact, I have my distant relatives still in far-flung areas and rural areas where the village population is to the tune of only 1,000 people or even 500 people in north. And many of them are very well aware of what is happening in the country, given the media, both newspapers, print, or radio, television, and the social media has been taking these news to them. I agree with my panelists where they say that they are not so serious about the kind of problem which they are faced with, given the fact that the immunity factor perceived with them and also in existence has been much higher. Also, the per density population in most of the rural India is fairly widespread as against what we see in major metro cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, or Calcutta, and so on and so forth. As a result, the risk of interception of the COVID is much higher in some of these big cities as against smaller rural areas, where on a piece of farmland of about 2, 3, 4, 5 acres or 50 acres, maybe about 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 farmers and their families are working together. So given that this particular thing was not impacting too much. However, the fact that we have seen the second wave and people again going back to the rural India, creating this problem spread extensively is a cause of concern. And as I told in the last program, I did speak last year that the government, the bureaucracy needs to come forward in actually inducing medical students who are studying in most hospitals and colleges, out of which many of the private sector colleges, even some of the state colleges, are actually in far-flung areas and rural areas, India, and they are not in big metro cities like we have AIIMS and the Noida District Center and others, which are very much in the hub of the city. Most of the medical schools are in far-flung areas. So if those medical students from second year onwards who know basic medication, who know basic healthcare structures, even first year students who have already undergone 6 months to 7 months of learning are actually practically functional and can be as an assistant nurse to take care of as an internship, as a program which can be done I'm surprised that the Prime Minister has only called for the 4th year school, but I think the rest of them who live in rural India and come from rural India can be spread across and be told to actually voice this message of the government, of the people, for their welfare, to take care of the needs of the healthcare, basic healthcare requirements. Even in terms of dissemination of COVID vaccine, they can be actually used through the Ayushman Bharat and the private hospitals and small Mohalla clinics or clinics in villages, which could be integrated into the framework to give about these vaccines. So we could bring things under control quite efficiently without causing much pain and much expenses. It's only a question of a will and a message, like strong messaging from the Prime Minister recently about calling the 4th year school. But maybe if larger batch, the full batch
But
could be called upon.
Professor Agarwal, that also brings us to the issue of, I mean, how we have paid attention to urban and maybe rural healthcare sector. As we know, each village may be having one primary center, healthcare center, with maybe one doctor who is available sometimes, who is not available sometimes, many times, and who may be having one compounder or not have a compounder. So how is that situation going to cope up?
No, I fully agree with you that the fund allocation for both healthcare and education has been unfortunately very low in India, and in fact in large number of emerging economies around the world. This is where we've had a time in the last 1 year to look upon, and large number of pharmaceutical companies and companies have come up. In fact, large number of corporates have now, who are actually based in some of these rural bases all across the country, have come up in terms of setting up some of these programs, including some of the companies wanting to give vaccines to their own employees, which could be extended. And this is one way you could go about building on the healthcare facilities. I've seen those things happen in the United States and Europe as well, where the governments have actually opened up centers in some of these places and facilitated, instead of creating a full new structure or setup. In fact, a large number of educational institutions like our own, which is lying vacant, we have 150,000 square feet space lying vacant, and we would be very happy to give it to the government or the district administration to go about carrying out some of these facilities, which cannot be created overnight, which took almost 4 or 5 years for us to create, could be used in terms of disseminating, whether it is vaccination or whether it is a question of creating bed facilities for oxygenation and others. And many of these educational institutions in all disciplines, whether it is management, engineering or others, are lying vacant today because you're not allowed to teach on a regular basis, and have huge spaces, huge labs, huge facilities, which could be utilized for the nation's need as of today, and in the long run could be used to develop healthcare centers, which could be there, because a healthcare center, like in schools, most schools, big city schools, have a small healthcare clinic within their school. I remember when I used to go to DPS in Mathura, they had a small setup there. In Delhi, in DPS in Noida, I've seen they have small setups with the tie-up with hospitals. Why can't we have similar setups created there, which could be long run
that is
at large, whereas little cost is incurred, only variable cost is incurred for the government, and where doctors can come on call basis.
But you need vision. But Professor, you need vision for that. So I'll go to Dr. Punita Hasija about, as you heard, Professor Agarwal gave a number of good suggestions. But I'll point out, when we talk about government facilities, when a new doctor, when he is appointed, I have seen that when they are sent to rural postings immediately, and then there is a lot of resistance. And I mean, there was, I think, in between some years back, there was an order that for 5 years a doctor has to serve in rural areas before he can be deputy health. But there has been a lot of resistance by the associations and all that. So is this a wake-up call? What do you say?
We understand there is a lot of requirement of to increase some healthcare facilities at villages, but a request to the government, they need to increase the GDP fund for education as well as for healthcare. Even the smallest country in the world has 6 to 7% of GDP for healthcare, but in India we have just 1.5 to 2% of GDP. There is no infrastructure in villages. You just let me know, you are sending a 5-year MBBS doctor to a village, but what facilities you are providing to them? There is not a room to sit there. There is no operation theatre. There are no instruments to take care of the patient. How can a doctor treat a patient without any infrastructure? That point government needs to check. Nobody is denying to go to the villages. Everybody wants to serve our country, our nation, but you are comparing our facilities with USA. You are comparing our doctors with USA. 60% of doctors in USA are Indians. They they left this country because of lack of facilities and they joined there. If you can provide facilities like that, not like that, but at least 50% of that facilities are provided in India, nobody will refuse. I make it sure. I'm on this television. I'll let you know that nobody will refuse going to villages. But once a patient is there, a sick patient is there, there is no facility for blood transfusion, there is no facility for operation. How can we treat a patient? And if patient dies in that hospital, the whole village will be after the life of the doctor. That is
And
the
assault him
most
also.
important thing. Assault and mob violence is also there.
Yeah.
We request government to please increase the GDP not on paper but on actual. We have seen that if you see urban area of India, 80% of the healthcare facilities are provided by private hospitals.
Right.
I take the example of Faridabad. There is an ESA Medical College which is a government facility and there is one BK Hospital which is a government facility. They are catering around 800 people, but more than 2,000 persons are treated by private setup. You can well imagine. We are lucky that we have two government facilities which are treating COVID patients.
Yeah.
But if there are 9 corporate hospitals and 30 hospitals by IMA doctors who are taking care of these COVID patients. If these doctors could not have given their services, you could have imagined the mortality rate in Faridabad.
Yeah.
So government should not say that we are not ready to work in villages, but they should provide us with the infrastructure.
Yes.
And first let me know, a doctor doing MBBS after 5 years, if he is made to go immediately after 5 years to the village, and he will be 30 years when he will come back, how will he do his PG? And without PG and without super specialization, nobody
Right.
comes to patient. So government needs to make a policy which is feasible.
Yes.
It is not that they should command. They should also
Yeah, that
take
is
care of
that
our
is why
demands also.
in fact I was talking about vision and good strategy.
Vision and good strategy, and we need that strategy should be made by the the stakeholders. Nobody asking IMA to make the policies. Policies are made by non-medical doctors. They don't know the basic problems of the doctors. They don't know the basic problems of the hospitals.
Right.
How can a non-medico make policies for medicos?
Yes.
And we have seen the result of that. Even they are promoting such things which are not scientifically proved.
Yeah. Right.
So you see everywhere the doctor is giving suggestions to make the policies, but India this is not happening.
Yes.
That's why we are lacking behind.
So,
it is not that we doctors are not going.
yeah,
We want to go to our country.
Right. So I had to have very little time left. So Dr. Anita Ramesh, I also want to ask, as we heard other panelists talking about the practical problems which are there, and then at least that brings us to about the vaccination issue. I mean, I'm forced to compelled to highlight this. So we have to register on CoWIN website. So I fail to understand how many people in the rural areas would be knowing how to log into CoWIN. Even people in the urban area, I mean cities, metropolises are not able to log in and register a slot. So I wonder how people in rural areas. Do you have any idea about this?
Yes, we have an idea and have already done a couple of shows in NDTV and other English and Hindi channels in India. So coming to this, we had a discussion earlier when the vaccination started rolling in the month of January. I did a TV show. So what happens is that there is an option. This CoWIN app is made by the government of India so that you put in your name, Aadhaar card number, age registered, so that you don't take a double dose. So there is no fake information. We give you a reminder.
That I know. But practically, how should anybody register?
I'll tell you, sir. What happens is that there is also a parallel running option given at the initially that those who cannot use the app, there will be Anganwadi workers, social health workers. That was also made a provision by the government, which will be in the rural centers to help people who are not.
Okay, Anganwadi workers. So maybe I'll ask.
It was there.
Yeah, right. So we have to conclude. We have less than 1 minute, maybe 20 seconds. Professor Agarwal, do you have any answer before we conclude?
I think the government is already working on it, and they've already opened up walk-in COVID patients as well. So most sectors, both private and government, have been asked to allow walk-in people to come in. When I got my COVID vaccine done about a month back or so, I saw most of the people were non-registered. I was with the registration, but most of them were not. So I think that portion does away when you're having this Secondly, these carpoolings where you're allowed to bring in, at least in big cities and tier 2, tier 1 cities, is also a good and safe way to actually go about vaccinating. And then running it through companies like, we have large private sector companies which have actually developed centers, huge facilities, manufacturing and non-servicing centers in different places. If you can actually house it there itself, it would also spread the message in rural India that we are having these vaccinations.
Yeah,
they have their own
right.
PR mechanisms to do that as well.
So
as
we
a
hope,
CSR activity which can be
unfortunately, our time has run out. We hope that things will be taken care of in rural areas where I suppose the situation must be very difficult. But thank you all of you for participating in this debate today. This is all in the agenda today. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with another important topic on Monday. Till then, goodbye.